I said there are also cultures that wait to even give children names, right? They'll wait till the eighth day. Like in our
Mhm.
culture, you don't get a name, you do a naming ceremony on the eighth day. So like my
Oh
dad was
wow.
very adamant about being like, the baby's gonna be 8 days old. Are you doing? And I'm like, the baby actually has a name already. It's on their birth certificate. But he had to do like a whole thing. Like it was a whole thing that he did to like you say the names, you do the prayers, you do all of these, like it's a whole ritual thing that he does to officially name the baby at 8 days old. Like everybody has this 8 days is I think everybody's using that. I
Wow.
don't know why, but I think most cultures that I know of who do something like that, it is 8 days. Like that's just the number that
Yeah.
was picked.
This
What is going on, XYZers and XYZ Nation? It's your people's generational scriptures back at it once again with the next episode as we're getting into Genesis chapter 17. And I titled this one, Cut Me Mick. Do y'all remember Rocky?
I didn't watch that.
All right, I might have to put a video in. I don't know if I should or not. It's pretty bloody. Well, it's fake blood, right? But there's this
right.
part in Rocky, right? So you got to imagine, right? So Rocky's fighting Apollo Creed. It's the first one, and Rocky's like, I can't see, Mick, my eye, I can't see. I'ma stop the fight, Rock. I'ma stop the fight. No, Mick, cut me, Mick, cut me. And he cuts his eyelid to get all of the blood out. So y'all face, it's hilarious.
No, that's,
I'm sorry. Okay, I'm gonna change it.
you can keep it whatever you want it to be, but somebody will get it. I get
Yeah.
the reference, but I don't want to see that.
And so he could see, and he went back out to finish the fight. Okay, enough said, done. Oh man, that was worth the title. Seeing y'all's faces.
That
I guess
is
getting beat up
so
like that, a cut ain't nothing, huh?
mm,
All right. So we're supposed to do something, and that something is to introduce ourselves. I am the latchkeyed one himself, the former X-Man, repping Gen X, Chris, all up in the area. And in the upper left corner, we have.
I am Maya, the resident
Hold on,
millennial.
let me get my thing right.
Why?
Huh?
I said the Gen Wire, because y'all get to
Oh.
be Zers, and I'm just
oh
here.
yeah.
Oh. Resident Millennial, you are Gen Y. That's the same thing I thought.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then to the right, we have.
Jasmine, your microwaver. And together we are.
Generational.
Scriptures. Yay, yay.
Yay!
All right. And so, like I said, we're getting into Genesis chapter 17. But before we do that, we've got to come up with some of the. It's been brewing. It's ready to go. I hear it pouring. Yep, 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 yep. Jasmine's tea. Here we go.
Oh, not yet.
Oh, not yet. You got to wait
Y'all
for it
got
to
this a
slurp.
little shorter.
That's a big cup, Jasmine.
I
All right.
feel like
I told you.
I think it's
She's
huge.
large and full.
Oh
Okay.
man.
So I'm gonna start doing this, starting the tea with what's in my teacup. So
Oh.
yes. That'll be fun. Everybody who likes tea, but we can have like a whole little thing in the comments. But
Hey.
for one, if you ever do find this cup and you get this cup, do not microwave this cup. All of this stuff will spark in the microwave. Okay, that's
Mm.
number one. Two, I'm drinking. I learned
Sounds
from
like it's
experience.
happened.
I put it in the I told you I put it in the microwave, and when I went to get it, all of it was sparking. No fire, just sparks.
Just
So it's
fucking.
fine.
Okay.
It's fine.
Case in
But
point.
this is black tea with heavy cream.
Oh gosh.
And it's delicious. It's not really that hot because once it started sparking a whole bunch, I said, let me just take it out. But it's pretty good. You put a splash of heavy cream, and it is caffeinated. I should be drinking decaf, but it's, one cup a day doesn't hurt. So
Okay.
that's what's in my teacup.
Very
She
good.
said
Okay.
one time. You got a whole jug.
I know. Of course, once a day when you got 32
Yeah.
ounces of tea.
It's like 24 anyway. To the real tea. So this episode's tea is on episode 16, chapter 16.
Yep.
Chapter six.
Yes, chapter 16. And what I kind of just wanted to touch on a little bit was the birth of Ishmael. Now, the we kind of talked about this earlier. The situation that Ishmael is born into is the is or born as a result of is like the picture of self-effort. And what that means is pretty much like self-reliance. All these things are like synonyms. Um Doing things at your own hand
Hmm.
without the consult of God. So to make it a little more personal, I actually, before I got married, I was very serious about, like, I need to hear from the Lord first. I said I
Hmm.
cannot do this without hearing from the Lord. And I was like, this is a big deal. Marriage is a very serious union, and I want my marriage to be, recognized by God. Like, I want this to all be done in the way that God intends this to happen. So I prayed and prayed and prayed and prayed and prayed. When I tell you every single day, I was praying multiple times a day. I prayed the scary prayer. I said, Lord, if this is not meant to be, I need you to take this and this man away. I just need some clarity, and I need the signs to be very, very clear. Yes or no. I need something. And I was talking to my husband's dad actually, and a few other people at my church. And I was like, I don't want to act without God's say. And I don't know if I'm hearing him. I don't know if I'm hearing him clearly. And then when I do feel like I'm hearing him, I'm not trusting it, and I'm having a
Hmm.
hard time. So I want to make a move, and I don't want the move to be the wrong move. I don't want to be thinking I'm hearing the Lord and I'm hearing myself.
Yep.
So how can I know the difference with and avoid taking a step that's not ordained by God? And they were telling me basically you have to like pray for discernment, and the Lord like won't the Lord won't lead you down a path that isn't aligned with His Word. So like you just have to know that's where knowing your Bible comes in, and knowing what the Word says, understanding like what a husband is and a wife in a marriage, that like the roles you play, like understanding all that stuff so that
Right.
you know what God expects, all that good stuff. And after a while, and after like I had prayed for so long, someone told me, like, in your waiting, you also take steps, but you continue to consult the Lord. And if there is a redirection that happens, like that needs to happen, you'll start to notice their doors will be closing, and these things will get really hard, or the situation won't just seem right. You'll know.
Mhm.
And that was comforting to me because my goal ultimately was to do um what the Lord wanted me to do. So
Right.
I wasn't resistant to that. And after so much prayer and like, okay, Lord, step or no, like stand here or do I wait? What do I do? I decided to move forward, and it wasn't a hard moving forward. There wasn't a lot of turmoil. There wasn't a lot. I was feeling peaceful with my decision, and I confidently moved forward, feeling like and knowing that this is what the Lord had intended for me, and
Hmm.
I haven't seen anything that says otherwise yet. So I I took comfort in that. So I think that it's something to be said about consulting the Lord in all of your decisions, because even down to, and this is something, it's for everybody, but my Gen Zers, not Gen X, my Gen Zers, as we go into like picking a career, figuring out what we want our lives to be, picking a hobby, it doesn't matter. If you are uncertain or you don't know where to go and you're like, you know what, I'm just going to go over here, even if you're like, I'm getting pulled this way, consult the Lord first. Take some time to pray about it so that you can move forward with peace and not with angst and fear and anxiety, because who wants that?
Yeah.
So that's my little tidbit, my little
Okay.
tea.
Cool.
My tea for the day.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Ah, it's like watching someone mature and grow right in front of you. Oh man,
Right.
I'm so proud. All right, so next up, another segment that makes me proud. All right, so boom. Hold on, let me do my explosion. There we go. Miss Moyo.
All right, so chapter 16 of Genesis, we are introduced again to Sarai and the fact that she is unable to conceive, and God has stopped her from being able to conceive. She realizes this and she says to her husband, I have this maidservant, Egyptian maidservant, Hagar, take her and have a kid. And Abram agrees. Abram takes her. He sleeps with her. She conceives, and once she conceives, she starts feeling herself a little bit, and she has contempt towards Sarai. Sarai is upset about it because who is this girl to feel like she could feel any type of way towards me? And she goes off on her husband because this is obviously his fault. Obviously. And Abram is like, hey, I didn't ask for none of this. I did what you said. It's your servant. Do whatever you want with her. And Sarai was like, all right, bet. And she did whatever she wanted with the girl. And
Yeah.
so much so that Hagar ran away because it was that bad. And in her running away, the angel of the Lord finds her, and he tells her, go back. You will have a son. Your son will be named Ishmael. He will be a wild donkey of a man, but you will have the same, like, nations, multitudes will come from you, and all of these good things. But you do have to go back and submit to Sarai.
Mm.
And Hagar, even with what we thought was negative, still sees it as God seeing her and God being like with her through all of this. And she goes back, she submits to Sarai, she has her son. Abram names the son Ishmael as they were commanded. And yeah, that's it.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Abram was what, 86, I think it said, right?
Yep, he was 86. So when we started, he was 75 when the promise was made, and now he's 86.
Right. I see this progression
Yes.
of time. Big,
Yeah.
what we would consider, I think, big swaths of time, if I use that word
Yeah.
correctly.
11 years.
All right. Awesome. Thank you for the tea. And for the tea, thank you for the Aight So Boom and the tea. And I think that deserves a round of applause. Like twice. One for each. Okay. All right. Let's get into chapter 17. This one is
All
going to
right.
be interesting.
Yes. Genesis chapter 17, verses 1 and 2. When Abram was 99 years old, the Lord appeared to Abram and said to him, I am God Almighty. Walk before me and be blameless, that I may make my covenant between me and you and may multiply you greatly.
Boom. Wow. So, we see some more time has passed.
Yeah.
99. So that's what, 13 years?
Yep.
And then the Lord appeared to him. So, not the angel of the Lord, but this time the Lord appeared to Abram and said to him, anything about what he calls himself? I am God Almighty. What do we think about him calling himself that? El Shaddai.
Have we seen that book? I feel like we've seen that one other time in scripture thus far in Genesis.
Might have.
Mm.
I don't know. I don't know if we have.
Is this the first time?
I want to say it's the first time, but I would have to go back and look. But I think it
Mm.
is the first. Or are you saying like in all of our chapters, in all of our
Yeah.
studies? Okay.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, it's a name of God, and we're being introduced to all these different names of the Lord. Um, Here, I think it's interesting that it's God coming and introducing Himself as God Almighty, right? Not anyone else calling Him. And that word Almighty, the etymology is weird of Shaddai, but it usually means like the majestic one or powerful one, right? The one who's sort of above all.
Mhm.
And so it just makes sense that God can refer to himself that way and then not be, you know, come off as being braggadocious. I know that's one of the words that I say that you all laugh at me about. But then what does he say? So he comes in and announces himself, but then he gives these commands.
I saw something that was talking about the blameless word.
Mm-hmm.
Like blameless doesn't mean. I think he said sinless. It doesn't like the two are not synonymous. I
Mhm.
forget how he laid out blameless, but see, I think he was making a comparison to a child. How would you explain to be blameless?
I didn't write down the word, but I did write down the definitions that came
Mm-hmm.
from. I don't know the is it Greek or Hebrew word, but
Super.
the definitions were complete, whole, entire, and sound. Um, and so what I was reading was that God was basically saying, "Give me your whole self," like,
Okay.
Hmm.
and maybe to this point we see Abram partially
Mm.
like partially there, but God is saying, okay, I need you to lock in. Like, you need to be locked in. I need you to fully be here. And, you know, previously, when the covenant was made in chapter 15, I think, it was
Mm-hmm.
just God doing his piece.
Right.
And now God is saying, I may make the covenant between me and you, which
Mm-hmm.
I thought was interesting because we went on a whole thing about God is making the covenant. God will not break the covenant, but now he's giving Abram a part to play in all of
Mm.
this.
Yeah. It's interesting. I think I put in the show notes um that unlike the covenant, and I got this from the New American Commentary, unlike the covenant in chapter 15, which had no requirements, chapter 17 includes two demands: to live uprightly before the Lord, verse 2, and to practice circumcision faithfully, which we'll get to when we get further down. So,
Mm.
yeah, he is putting something on him. And then what do we see? We see the same covenant that he called out before, right? Um, Going to multiply him greatly.
I thought it was interesting too that the previous covenant had to do with the land, right? Possession of that land, because
Hmm.
Abram asked, "What is the sign that you would give me this land?" And that covenant was given.
Right.
So is it because I think the first one commentary I read tried to was making it like this is the same covenant, and I guess
Hmm.
it is it's partially the same covenant, but the covenant has always had two parts. One is the son and the nations and the multitudes, and the other is the land. And before, when it was given to him as like attributed to him as righteousness, it was about the multitude and the son. But then when he asked for a sign, it was about the land, and then
Hmm.
God did the covenant. So is this then saying that I've made the promise for the land, and now we're making the covenant for the multitude, or is it all just one in either way?
I think it's one. You got anything on that, Jasmine?
No,
Yeah.
I'm not sure actually.
Yeah. I think it's one. So when you go back to chapter 15, remember the first part that he asked, like, about how will I know, which is the name. It's like, how I know I'm going to have a son. Can Eliezer Eliezer's the heir that I have now, right? There's no one else because I have. When am I going to get a son? And then it goes on to talk about the land. Then it goes on to give the covenant.
Well,
Uh,
in chapter 15, he mentions that, but then he says you'll have the son, and then he believes him. That's where we stopped that, right? That's about the son. He believes him. Then it
okay.
goes on to, and I will give you this land. And he's like, well, you haven't given me the son yet. What is the proof that I will get the land? At least that's how I remember us discussing it.
Hmm.
And then we do the covenant for the land, which again, back when we were talking about it, that same type of like covenant was done for land possession rights anyway. Like that was a normal covenant for them. Well, later on, like that's how they handled land settlement type of things. So,
Mm.
and that's why I was like, is it now we're going back to say, okay, this is the covenant for the son and the nations and the peoples.
Yeah. I
Mm.
don't. I don't know. So when we look at verse 17, which is in 18, when this of Genesis 15, when the sun had gone down and it was dark, behold, a smoking fire pot and flaming torch passed between these pieces. On that day, the Lord made a covenant with Abram, saying, one, to your offspring, two, I give this land. So I think they're still both there. I don't, I have to have offspring, right? Which is the children and the many people that the land is actually going to go to. So even if we break up the first part, which I agree, sort of ends with this belief, I didn't think, and if I said it this way, I didn't mean to, but I didn't think they were two separate items, right? Because God, the Lord, has been keeping it as one the whole time, even when He called them,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
right? Even when He called them, He's like, "I'm going to make you a great nation. I will bless those who bless you. I will curse those who curse you, and you need to go to this land that I will show you." So it's almost like the land and offspring has always been sort of tied together,
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, I see that.
right? So yeah, I didn't look at it as being separate. But I did struggle a little bit. Like, what's the difference? Why is the Lord doing this again with Abram? And I think as we read, we might see why that happens. Yeah. So I didn't see it as two separate things, and one was for one, and this was for a second. And you said that you read in the commentary, Moyo, that they were saying it was the same, like
They
it
were
was a
saying it was the
reiteration
same.
of that covenant. They
Hmm.
said it was a second one, or was it iteration of the entire covenant of
The
offspring
entire
and land?
the entire covenant, but I was reading it as two
Okay,
separate things because of how it's worded and how it's stated
right.
in
Mm.
15, and then
Yeah,
in 17 it's specifically saying this piece.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't read a bunch of commentaries for this one because there was so much other stuff in there that I was just like, I'll believe what I believe and let them believe what they
let them,
believe.
let them work it out. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I
because
mean,
it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. Both things have been promised to him from the beginning.
right.
So
Yeah.
whether or not the covenant is for one or the other, at the end of the day, he both of them matter. Both covenants matter.
Yeah, well, but I think they go hand in hand, though, right? I can't have one without the other. So, and that's where I think it is kind of important that they be lumped together because what we've been doing this whole time has been this build, and I think that we're seeing. I know the story, so this is going to sound bad, but I actually do think we're seeing Abraham build as well until we get to this climactic point that we'll see in, I think it's Genesis 22. But all of this is people, land. I'm gonna and if we think about what the Lord is doing, the Lord is saying, I'm creating and separating a people for myself. And then I'm going to give them a land to dwell in. So to me, trying to separate those is it's not the Lord hasn't done it. And I don't think that's what. I think it's important that they go together. Which again, when we look at verse 18 of chapter 15, it says, "To your offspring," meaning to Abram at that time, "you will have a bunch of offspring. I will give this land." They have to go together in my mind.
Yeah, maybe it's just the way it's worded because he's already believed in the offspring, which is why I'm like, okay, he knows he's going to have offspring, which is why the question is, how do I know my offspring will have the land? This is the
Yeah.
covenant for the land.
So what
Mm.
you're saying is when the word says that he believed God, that was
Mm-hmm.
just for the offspring that he
Yes,
believed
because
God.
yeah, because the next sentence is about I am the God of that brought you out of here, and I'm going to give you this land to possess. And he asks, "How do I know that I will possess it?" He doesn't say, "How do I know that my offspring or that I will have offspring?" Because he's already believed God for that.
Yeah,
So, I mean, it could just be the words, and again, I don't know how much it matters, but that's just how I saw it.
yeah,
And why would God make a covenant? Why would God make the covenant with just him and then now make a new covenant, which it seems like a new covenant with stipulations for Abram? Because we had the whole discussion about God is not going to break the covenant because of
hmm
this, and this.
right.
And now it's like, wait a minute, now Abram has a part to play in the covenant. Which covenant? Are they the
Okay,
same covenant?
let's just keep reading, because
We can keep going and come
yeah,
back.
Okay, so this is Genesis chapter 17, verses 3 through 8. Then Abram fell on his face, and God said to him, "Behold, my covenant is with you, and you shall be the father of a multitude of nations. No longer shall your name be called Abram, but your name shall be Abraham, for I have made you the father of a multitude of nations. I will make you exceedingly fruitful, and I will make you into nations, and kings shall come from you. And I will establish my covenant between me and you and your offspring after you throughout their generations for an everlasting covenant, to be God to you and to your offspring after you. And I will give to you and to your offspring after you the land of your sojournings, all the land of Canaan, for an everlasting possession, and I will be their God."
okay, yeah. So right there, there's a mention of the land, right,
Mm-hmm.
and the offspring again.
Yeah.
So even in what we're talking about, and I think even as we go further to see the sign, I think that yeah, this is still sort of a repeat of the same covenant that we've seen before. It's just being taken to a next level, and that now there's some requirements that I have, right? Um, Walk before me and be blameless. And then again, we haven't gotten to the sign yet, but a sign that you're going to have to do to say you are my people, who I have promised to make you a great nation, and this land that I'm going to give you. It's weird to me because I can see the confusion because it says things like in verse 2 that I may make my covenant between me and you. Like, okay, I thought you did that already.
Yeah, right.
Right? But then he's like, I will make you, like all of these future things I will establish. It's like the tenses are going future and past, and behold, my covenant is with you and you shall be. I mean, that's present, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's this weird thing where the tenses seem to be changing on the wheels, maze, and is in the present. So
Yeah, maybe it's a translation thing, like the way it's the word choices are just interesting.
yeah, they are. They definitely are. Because I'm looking at something and it points out all of the things that God will do. God will make Abram the father of many nations. The Lord will grant him. So the covenant is multi generational. It's everlasting. So yeah, it's a lot to when you start to look at the tenses and all of those things. I think that I was just looking at it as God looking in the future in terms of like I don't know if y'all have ever heard it, and I don't know if I'm reaching here, but I'll say it like the already not yet. Like we are, you say, are saved now. We have eternal life now, but we will be saved and we will have eternal life. You
Mm,
know, because while we are saved, we don't really see the consummation of it until Jesus comes back, calls us up, and then the new heaven and new earth are created, right?
mm,
While we will have eternal life, we won't see the consummation of it until sort of time has passed and we're in eternity.
mhm,
So I wonder how much of that is like, yeah, you're a great nation now. I've given you this land. You will have a great offspring and you will have a land. Like looking for like you it hasn't been consummated yet. And I wonder if any of that's playing into the wording here.
mm.
So something to think about. Something to think about. So um then Abram fell on his face and God said to him, so one, Abram's response to seeing the Lord. That is something that Abram fell on his face.
Mhm.
And just I don't know if you all have picked up on it, but notice Abram hasn't really said anything yet in this chapter. The only thing that we get of Abram is that he fell on his face.
Mm.
And so what does God tell him? We sort of touched on him, but there's one thing in here that I think is very important. What does God do to Abram?
Change his name
Yep.
because he will be the father of a multitude of nations.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It says
Gotten
Abram. Abram means exalted father, but
Mm.
Abraham means father of a multitude.
Did you see anything on that, Moyo?
I I did see that. I think in chapter was it 11 when we first mentioned that his name meant exalted father, and it was like you don't have any kids, and now it's like I changed your name to father of nations, and you still. I mean, he has one kid now, but it's like
Right.
you made it even bigger. Like it's like he's gonna be this great thing. So
Mm-hmm.
one thing I was reading was like, how would other people have seen this? Like, would they have thought he was kind of delusional? Like, now you calling yourself Abraham? Like, are you all right? Are you okay? So I thought that was kind of funny. Like,
Yeah.
from Abram, which already was kind of weird at the time that he didn't have kids, to Abraham.
Right.
Like, it's kind of like him declaring this, like, oh, I'm going to start telling the people around me, oh, my name is Abraham now, which means this. Or
Mm-hmm.
they would already know what it means. And it
Yeah.
would just be strange that you just have this one
Right.
child. You're calling yourself this.
Yeah. Yeah. It's but it's a big thing for the Lord to change his name. You start to think about the names that the Lord has given. Well, the name Lord, name Lord, the Lord named everything in creation, right? Because we walk through that, and what that means in terms of authority and you being able to name someone. And we see even in Adam that he named the animals. So to me, I think this is pretty big that the Lord renamed Abraham, Abram to Abraham. Um, and then we'll see it again with Jacob and Israel as well. Probably when we get to season 5 rather. But yeah, that's a big thing. And then everything around that name is sort of a mirror image of each other. I don't know if you all noticed that, right?
Mhm.
Um, you should be a father of a multitude of nations in verse 4. And then in verse 6, I'll make you exceedingly fruitful and I will make you into nations, and kings shall come from you. So it's almost like everything is sort of focusing on that name change. Um, and everything with the covenant is sort of hanging on around it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And we have the added king shall come from you because that wasn't there before.
right. Which again is kind of funny, right? Because what does that mean to Abraham? He's not a king. He hasn't proposed himself to be a king. He's met a king, several kings actually.
And before he was told about them being sojourners, so it's like, how do they go from sojourners to
Right.
king?
So just think about this though. Could you I wonder, and I don't know if this is the case, but I wonder if there's anything to this progressive, what I think, right? And you all can disagree, but what I think is a progressive revelation. I mean, just imagine out the gate, you start telling someone who has a wife that's barren, yeah, it's going to be several kings that come from you, as opposed to even telling you first you're going to have a child. You know, that I think that would be kind of crazy.
Kinda. I'd be with Abram in the past chapters. I need some proof of said thing
Some help.
because it's like a steady. He's giving him steady reassurance of the same things over and over again. So it's like, okay, I I personally, if it was me, I'd be like, okay, I hear you. After like the second time, third time, it's like, okay, I believe you, but I'm not seeing it.
Yeah,
You go as far as to change my name, and like I don't see these nations. I mean, and I guess it's there. It's so much time has to pass before you see these things, but still.
but still, yeah. And I kind of glossed over. Kind of glossed over it, but it's been 13 years. I did mention it, but I kind of said it like these things are happening one after the other, but they're not. It's like 11
Mm,
years and 13 years apart, and
yeah.
yeah, it's got to be hard. Takes me back to Noah. I think we had this similar discussion with him because we said that the 120 was from the point that God told Noah to build the ark until he was going to bring the waters.
Mhm.
So Noah's sitting there building an ark for 120 years. Yeah, I
It's
wonder if
crazy.
Noah felt the same way. Like, okay, is this a joke? Is this just a cruel joke?
Yeah.
I saw somebody mentioned in our comments like somebody pulling up lawn chairs and and laughing at Noah. So it's
Mhm.
like that could have been what was happening. Something about being patient and waiting on the Lord. So does anything else in these verses stick out to you? Anything else we need to touch on in them? Oh, there's one other thing that I think is in here. What do we think about? And I don't know, maybe I'm missing it, but in verse 8 it says, "And I will give to you and your offspring after you the land of your sojournings, all the land of Canaan for an everlasting possession, and I will be their God."
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I meant to ask you guys about that end part, the "I will be their God" part. I kind of was like, isn't that implied? But maybe not. I was confused why it was explicitly said that I will be their God, unless it was already a practice where there were other gods being worshipped. Or maybe I'm going too far into it. I don't know, but I just was I was confused why that was called out specifically. Any thoughts?
I think there would be other gods being worshipped at this point. And I think it's also normal for people to take on the gods of where they are. So
Mm,
Yeah.
I think that's normal. So
Yeah.
maybe
okay.
it needs to be specified that, I mean, God tells them later on, like, don't have any other gods before me. There's a
Right.
reason why that has to be stated because obviously they're doing something contrary to that.
Okay.
Yeah. One other thing to point out, have we heard that this is an everlasting covenant? I think we've heard that before, right? So
Hmm.
I don't know that we talked about it much, but when you hear that word everlasting, forever, 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 ever,
Forever.
forever, ever, right? It had me thinking when I was walking this morning, like, I mean, how do we treat Israel and their land now? Because if this is an everlasting covenant, then it hasn't gone away.
Right.
That makes sense.
Nope.
All right. Genesis chapter 17, verses 9 through 14. And they read as follows. And God said to Abraham, "As for you, you shall keep my covenant you and your offspring after you throughout their generations. This is my covenant which you shall keep between me and you and your offspring after you. Every male among you shall be circumcised. You shall be circumcised in the flesh of your foreskins, and it shall be a sign of the covenant between me and you. He who is 8 days old among you shall be circumcised, every male throughout your generations, whether born in your house or bought with your money from any foreigner who is not of your offspring. Both he who is born in your house and he who is bought with your money shall surely be circumcised. So shall my covenant be in your flesh, an everlasting covenant. Any uncircumcised male who is not circumcised in the flesh of his foreskin shall be cut off from his people. He has broken my covenant. Mm.
Okay.
All right,
Okay,
let's get it.
so can I start from bottom up?
Yep.
Okay, so first I had so many thoughts going through my mind, and then the commentary doesn't help. So, um, this to me said that there are stipulations in which this covenant can be maintained. However, then we see, like, then we know it's, or we believe that that's not true. Like, the Lord's going to uphold His end anyway. But then there's you're circumcised or you're cut off from the people, which I interpreted that as the people like the blessed line of Abraham now. Like his like you were cut off from that's uh what's the word? I can't think of the word. You get what I'm saying? Like
You're
the
exiled.
those who will be blessed. Yeah, like yeah, you're put out to
Yeah.
pasture.
Pastor. Yeah.
that's that's how I took that. So if my question became if there's nothing that can be done to break this covenant, then why are there stipulations being specified? Because and stipulations and then consequences to your actions if these things aren't upheld. It sounds kind of contradictory.
Mm.
I was very confused.
Yeah.
Not to mention, which one was it? I think it was something cool. Fun fact, just random throw out there that I heard was that, and I didn't verify this information. I hope it's true. That in verse 12 it says, "He who is 8 days old among you shall be circumcised." Apparently,
Hmm.
in present day, newborns who are 8 days old and further, like the blood clotting agent that is in your body is at its highest point. And the guy was saying like it's so funny how what did he say? New age times and biblical times kind of they we're just now catching up, but this stuff has been in the Bible for all this time. And science, that's what he said. Science is finally catching up to understanding what the Lord said way back then. But I
Right.
didn't know that. I didn't know that that was a thing. But yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm still very perplexed about why it's been reiterated that this is a everlasting um covenant, but then now there's I don't know if you would even call them stipulations. I don't know. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. What you
I
got,
would
Moyo?
say that the only the only people that this to me seems would the only people this seems it would apply to are those that are in his household now, right? Not that because everyone else is going to be circumcised when they're born
Hmm.
or,
Hmm.
8 days old or after. So you don't really get a choice in that case. But for but for these, he had those men a while ago, the 300 something men. He has Ishmael. He has all of these people who probably make up his household. He also has any slaves or servants that they got from Egypt, anybody he's bought along the way. All of those people may not want to be circumcised as an adult.
Right.
I feel like this is God saying, let them
Mm.
know that this is what's gonna happen if they decide not to. So they would be cut off. You no longer are part of the blessing. Right now, everybody's getting the blessing because they're attached to Abraham now. And God is saying, any uncircumcised male who is not circumcised in the flesh of his foreskin shall be cut off from his people.
Right.
So I don't And I don't know that there are any Jewish people who are not still keeping that even today. Like,
Yeah,
aren't they
I
all
couldn't
still
tell you.
doing that? So once 8 days comes, you getting circumcised. Like, you don't get a choice. I feel like the only people getting choices are these first set of people.
Well, I think like if yeah, who would have broken it? If someone got the mark and then fell away later, I guess they could say, "Nah, I don't want to do that to my child." But I think I agree. Like, how do you not keep that going, right? You did it. Now you're just going to do it for the next one that comes up because that's what the law, or not, it's not even the law, but what the sign of the covenant is for you and for the people.
I could see some of the adults not wanting
Yeah,
to do it. Like,
I agree.
I, I there's okay. I don't want to say I watched this show, but there's a show that I watch. I'm not gonna say the name because I should be watching. But in the show, the guy wanted to get circumcised as like I think he was like 14 or 15. And they were saying, like, doing that as an adult is not like a small thing. Like, any little thing can mess up the stitches. And then, like, it's just a lot involved in doing it as an adult. So I could imagine you being like, ugh, I don't know.
Yeah, nah,
I don't know
I'm
about
good.
that. But
Yeah.
I did also read that this wasn't a new thing. Like, circumcision wasn't invented at this point. Like, it was already kind of a thing. Maybe not the same way, maybe not done exactly the same way, but cutting of the foreskin was
Mm,
already for other reasons.
yeah. So what does that mean though for this action? Like, if other people are doing it, right? It doesn't mean the same thing for the other people as it does for these people. So what would
Yeah.
be the difference then?
Mm.
I I don't know what the reason was that other people were doing it. I couldn't find why they were doing it. And what I did see that they weren't cutting it completely away, like they would
Okay.
cut into it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I didn't see. I don't know what it looks like. I don't know I didn't
This
Google no
sounds
pictures. So I have no
wrong.
idea.
Ah.
I have no idea what this would even look like. Like, if you are not circumcised, what does that look like? What does it look like to just cut a piece of it? I don't know. But
Yeah.
they're saying it would have been a little different than what others were
Yeah.
already doing. But there
Yeah.
was already some sort of practice of circumcising or cutting of the foreskin.
Yeah.
Mm.
And I think that it's important the reason, right? So you're not they Abraham, we can call him Abraham now, and his offspring and all of those in his household will be doing it based on what the Lord has commanded. So while it may be a physical thing that happens, there's a higher order to it because it's talking about this relationship that you have with the Lord, where other people, they are not part of that relationship, right? So it's just like, just because you do it, they're doing it because of their relationship with the Lord. No one
Mm-hmm.
else is. So I think there's a difference. Like, even today, right? It's like, I'm going to mess this up, but it's like, anybody can do a nice deed. But I think that there is a motive behind doing things sometimes. And the right motive behind doing things is that you are being led by the Lord to do them. Um, Sometimes people do good things because they'll look good doing it. Sometimes people, yeah, they are just being good people. And I'm not denying that. That motive that sits behind it, if it doesn't really tie to the Lord, then the Lord's not, or tie in our case to Jesus, who is our guide and who we strive to be like, then it's not really going to count to God that you did this one nice thing. Is to
Mm.
God is going to be, what did you do with my son and in my son, as opposed to, oh, I helped somebody across the street or I gave this money out of my own wanting to, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I wonder how much of that plays a part in this.
Yeah.
I'm going to read something from the commentary. It says, no special concessions were made for any adult person who refused to undergo the customs. The severe threat of expulsion motivated any squeamish offender to reconsider. Verse 14. Such excommunication symbolically meant the person's death in the eyes of the community. So, to your point with that last part, when it says you shall be cut off, it's like you are going to be dead to the community. And it could mean that you, again, will be out there all on your own. I don't know if y'all watch it, but it's almost like The Walking Dead. I used to watch that show. I don't know if y'all watch it. It's a show about zombies. The show wasn't about zombies. The show was zombies were like the backdrop and sort of sometimes the catalyst to get people to move and stimulus to get people to do things and move. But the story was about people living in a world where the rules are not constant for everybody in a land of complete anarchy. So you were as strong as the people that you had around you, right? And if you were just one lone person out there by yourself, you're not only fighting the zombies to stay alive, but you're fighting all these other groups because they don't trust you, they don't know you, or they want what you have, or they want to make you work for them or something weird like that. So I can imagine that if you've been with Abraham for this long and you say no, to your point, Moyo, because I have the ability to as an adult, and this just don't sound right, and you'll be cut off and excommunicated and not be part of that group anymore and out there on your own trying to find some group that you can align yourself with. So anything else about this? Do we just want to move on and not talk about this anymore? I wouldn't have a problem with that.
I actually looked what Jasmine you were talking about 8 days. I looked that up, and there was this site that was, and their question is why wait 8 days for circumcision. The end of the result at the end was like we don't know, but they gave all of these suggestions, and one of them had to do with um like that's when the baby is the healthiest and can withstand it. They talk about Shabbat and the whole
Oh,
ceremony
okay.
there. They talk about being able to atone,
Yep.
like something in the Jewish culture about like having a certain number of days to be able to atone. Then we said health of the baby. Then they said about the parents being able to be there because if you give birth, you're unclean for X amount of
Yep.
days. So on that eighth day, the mother could be there to see it versus them doing it, she not being able to be there. I don't know.
Mhm.
Um, but it was just a bunch of different ones that the site listed, and they gave like their little paragraphs on it. I thought it was interesting that it was just it could be anything. Like it could be a lot of things.
Right.
And nowadays, I want to say you get circumcised right away. Like you don't
You
wait.
do. Yeah.
Um,
You want
and
to or
there,
no?
I said there are also cultures that wait to even give children names, right? They'll wait till the eighth day. Like in our
Yeah.
culture, you don't get a name, you do a naming ceremony on the eighth day. So like my
Oh
dad was
wow.
very adamant about being like, the baby's gonna be 8 days old. Are you doing? And I'm like, the baby actually has a name already. It's on their birth certificate. But he had to do like a whole thing. Like it was a whole thing that he did to like you say the names, you do the prayers, you do all of these, like it's a whole ritual thing that he does to officially name the baby at 8 days old. Like everybody has this 8 days is I think everybody's using that. I
Wow.
don't know why, but I think most cultures that I know of who do something like that, it is 8 days. Like that's just
Oh.
the number that
Yeah.
was picked.
I think that the Day of Atonement was supposed to be on like the eighth day of a specific month as well, which would line up like you were saying with the atonement, right?
Yeah. And so
Yeah. So
some
that's pretty cool.
I say something else I read was saying like that would give you, the in creation you have 7 days,
Yep.
so it's like oh they're fulfilled their creation time or whatever
Huh.
they were saying. I was like, oh, that's interesting. It was just a bunch of different things about it. I was like, all of these sound cool, but we
Yeah.
at the end of the day we don't know. Like,
Yeah.
Another one of them questions to remember, right?
yeah.
Yes.
When we get to
Hopefully,
heaven.
God is keeping track of these questions for me
Yeah.
because it's a lot of.
I was like, maybe we should write them down, but then I was like, what's the point? Yeah.
No, you can't take your paper
You
with
can't
you.
take it with us.
Right.
That bad.
Oh, man. Yeah. So yeah, and I wrote down, or not wrote down, but I put in the show notes what was called out. So Romans 4:11 talks about this sign of circumcision. It says he received the sign of circumcision as a seal of the righteousness that he had by faith while he was still uncircumcised. The purpose was to make him the father of all who believe without being circumcised, so that righteousness would be counted to them as well. I think that gets back to, like I was saying, the purpose, right? The relationship that you have. But also, it's weird that it's called a sign of circumcision as opposed to him saying, Paul saying, because this is in Romans, that this is a covenant that was done. So I'm sort of like struggling with the sign versus the covenant, if that makes sense.
Um,
Because, go ahead.
I saw something about that and I pray that it transferred to my iPad. But oh, did it? No, of course not. It was something in Deuteronomy, I think. I could be conflating things, but I think it was talking about he was making a point that there is a circumcision of the heart.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Um, and I didn't fully understand that, but that's when I was thinking, okay, so is this symbolic? Is this literal? Like we here we're talking about physical, like literal circumcision of
Mm-hmm.
like your skin, your physical body.
Mm-hmm.
And I I don't know whether that one is that the covenant. I don't know, but I wish I could. It would cut me off.
It's
Otherwise, I'd be able
Deuteronomy
to.
16 and 36, chapter 30, verse 6, because I pulled out the same thing
Oh, cool.
about circumcision of the heart. But in this text, we're specifically talking about the flesh, and it repeats flesh a lot. So I
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
think for us to know that this is not that, no, they actually have to get cut. Like they
Yeah.
Yeah.
actually they have to. This is not the other one that we're talking about. This is flesh. It has to be cut in this
So do you think that, yeah, you need to do this and it is flesh, but it is not meant to just be flesh, if that makes sense? So
I
yeah,
kind of
you
was
are
getting that.
making a
Okay, go
flesh
ahead.
mark on you, right?
Hmm.
As a sign. But that
one. Hmm.
sign is indicative and should be indicative of something else. That's
Yeah.
that's happened that's happening or happened in your life,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Because and the reason I say that, because you get to the New Testament, and I think it's Acts 15, when they're asking the, they're not part of the law, but this isn't part of the law. They're asking the Gentiles, they're talking in this council in Acts, and they're like, what should we tell the Gentiles they should do? And
Yeah.
it was to, abstain from eating blood, be sexually moral, um, none of this other stuff. Didn't say anything about being circumcised. Didn't say anything about keeping the law, all 613 of them, right? So I wonder how much. I think, and maybe this is what you're saying, is that it's a both and, right? It is
Hmm.
something that you do in the flesh, but it's meant to talk about our reliance and a faithfulness. And what did he say? God being your God being your God, right? I will be their God.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
That
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah. The passages in Deuteronomy were basically talking about if you are not circumcised of the heart, it's showing that you're stubborn and that you don't love God, basically. And so
Okay.
they were saying be circumcised, not just of the flesh, but
Of
of
the
the
heart.
heart as
So
well.
right.
Hmm.
Okay. All right. Cool. Whew. Anything else here?
Mm-mm.
Nobody's exempt. Foreigners, if
Everybody.
you there,
I know. Poor them. They
everybody
should
can
wait
get it.
to New Testament time when you could
They
be exempt.
did have been like, uh,
That's
whew.
true.
All right.
All right.
All right. So next up.
Genesis chapter 17, verses 15 and 16. And God said to Abraham, as for Sarai your wife, you shall not call her name Sarai, but Sarah shall be her name. I will bless her, and moreover, I will give you a son by her. I will bless her, and she shall become nations. Kings of people shall come from her.
Wow. So now he's talking not just about Abraham, but he's talking about Sarah,
Mm-hmm.
Sarai. He changes her name, and then he talks about blessing her, which I don't know that we've seen anything in scripture this far of a woman being blessed like this. Do y'all recall one? And what does it say something to you that she is blessed in this way?
Mm-mm.
Mhm.
Well, kind of. I kind of took it, even though it's not explicitly said, like spelled out this way. I kind of took it as like another piece of reassurance, like she will be the one in which these things happen through. Like
Mm-hmm.
once we see the blessing, see hers following his, or following his like reassurance. That's kind of how I took it. Like the reason why we are seeing is I will bless her and she shall become nations, kings shall come from her. It's
Mm-hmm.
even though it says just that, I read it like kings shall come from Abraham, right?
Mm-hmm.
Abraham.
We can call him that
King-
now.
And kings shall come from Sarah. So in my mind, I was like, okay, so obviously
Right.
the kings are coming from y'all.
Right. You got anything on that? Oh yeah.
The only thing I have is that we we are now seeing that Sarai is supposed to be a part of the plan,
Boom.
which we weren't before. So
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
it's clear. It should be clear now to him.
Hmm.
Right. Right. And so, and we would also be able to say, I think, y'all tell me if you disagree, that Sarai was always intended to be the mother. I mean,
I agree.
of the seed of the promised one that the Lord has for them. This was
Mhm.
never, there was never any other way that it was supposed to happen. So when you think back on Sarah and her journey and all of the things that she's gone through, um, yeah, it's like, huh, why did it brings to me more clarity about why the Lord, and I think we talked about it even then, why the Lord brought this on Egypt, right? To be like, who are you? You have to go along with everybody else. Next up.
Okay. Genesis chapter 17, verses 17 to 21. Then Abraham fell on his face and laughed and said to himself, shall a child be born to a man who is 100 years old? Shall Sarah, who is 90 years old, bear a child? And Abraham said to God, oh, that Ishmael might live before you. God said, no, no, but Sarah your wife shall bear you a son, and you shall call his name Isaac. I will establish my covenant with him as an everlasting covenant for his offspring after that. As as for Ishmael, I have heard you. Behold, I have blessed him and will make him fruitful and multiply him greatly. He shall father 12 princes, and I will make him into a great nation. But I will establish my covenant with Isaac, whom Sarah shall bear to you at this time next year.
Wow.
Yeah, right. So I had a misconception. I thought, and I think it was written this way prior, that all people, well, okay, let me back up. Let me just say that I interpreted it that way. All people in the line of Abraham were gonna be blessed. We're gonna reap the benefits of the covenant. I thought that every line, every branch of his tree. But this is saying that he's using like a specific line. So then my thought was, well, clearly that was always the plan, but that's not at all what I was gathering from what we've seen thus far. It's just me. Y'all had that impression?
No,
Oh, I feel like mainly because I already know the story.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
hard to like. It's hard to step away from
Yeah, that
agreed.
was completely
Ditto.
shocking to me.
No,
I was so confused, like, what?
right. I mean, we see that already, right? Because while Ishmael, and this may be where you got. So how? What I'm going to ask instead of making a statement about it. So what brought you to that conclusion that it's not everybody? It's just a specific.
He said, I will establish the covenant with Isaac, whom Sarah shall bear to you. That also kind of reinforced to me that, okay, so the fruitful line, like the line of people that is God is using is coming from Sarah.
Yeah.
So I said, okay, that I can I can understand that because Ishmael came from Hagar. So he's not using her people, he's using Sarah's people. Sarah
Correct.
and Abraham's people.
it. Hmm.
So, okay, but that's not like I think that's clearly like that I can clearly make that out using these verses. Verses before now, I thought that any child coming from Abram or Abraham was going to be a part of this covenant
Yeah,
because they are his offspring.
yeah,
Right.
and I that's how Abram was interpreting it too when he was Abram, because
Mm-hmm.
he because he agreed to have the child with Hagar, maybe thinking the same thing, like as long as I have a son,
Mm-hmm.
have the descendants. And Chris said no, because why would you assume
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
What else is in there? While I get back to it. Right. So we got the promised Isaac. We get the name changed. How you? How did How do you feel about Abram's response?
He's like, I'm old.
Hmm. Yep.
I
Shall
was
Sarah, who is 90 years old, bear a child. Hmm.
I wasn't sure if his laughter was like disbelief or like this is too funny. Like I can't believe this is happening right.
Right.
Like it's still believing and just being like, this is crazy.
Yeah. That's a good point. I don't know what I thought of it. Because you're right. If you're laughing in disbelief, then again that takes us back to 15:6, right?
Yeah.
Jeez. The more and more
And
I
I
think about this,
he's
go
laughing in, oh my goodness, they want me to have another kid.
ahead.
This is crazy. Like I'm
Right.
100
I'm
years
too
old.
old for this. But it makes me wonder if this righteousness isn't necessarily on us because we can't make ourselves righteous. And the mere fact that Abraham is considered righteous is because the blood of Christ being shed on the cross is retroactive. It goes back and covers even
Mm.
Abraham. And so it would also go back and cover Noah then, who's considered righteous. Right? So it's like maybe this righteous thing isn't just because we think that you're going to be good all of a sudden. This is an epiphany moment for me. Maybe it's that God has just declared you righteous and he's going to see you through that way.
Mm.
Because even now, think about it, right? In Christ, we're righteous, we're upright, we're before him, we're before the Lord, unblemished, right? We have the righteousness of Christ, the breastplate of righteousness. But it's not because Chris does anything right all the time. Chris still messes up. Chris still falls. Chris still does stuff he's not supposed to do.
Mhm.
How many times can I refer to myself in the third person? Um, but yet I'm still righteous. And it's not by me, it's by Jesus. I don't know. Things that make you say, hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, sorry. That took us away. So I did not notice that Noah that Abraham laughed until now. So keep this in mind because it'll come up again later. Um, what do we think about Abram asking about Ishmael?
I think again, it's is he asking as I don't really want to have any more kids. What about this one that I already have? Or is it like actual concern for his son? Like, hey, I am gonna have another kid, but I do have one
Right,
who still I don't want to be left out. Like I don't want him
right.
to be left.
Yeah, yeah, I'm with you. And the third option that I had was I wonder if he's concerned about his wife. But now that I think back to what you were saying earlier, maybe that's
I
far
was thinking that
fetched.
his wife is crazy. He's worried about his son only.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
probably
Son's
true. That's probably true. Abraham, you're making me look bad, man. Um, yeah, but those were the three things that I thought about. Like he's really concerned about his son. It seems,
Yeah.
yeah.
and he really makes a pitch for him, right? Like, can't you take him instead? Can't he be the one instead? And God's like, yeah, but no. And he
Yeah.
comforts him with the same thing that he comforted Hagar with. So I don't know if she told Abraham that or not, but the Lord definitely pulls it back out. Yeah. And so he's 99, his wife's 90, and they're gonna have a kid this time next year.
Yeah.
Now that's crazy.
That is crazy.
All right. Anything else with those?
Um, one thing in the whole like highlight the stuff that repeats. This is the
Mm-hmm.
last time that they're repeating that this is an everlasting covenant. So it was stated in verse 7 and then again in 13 and then in
Mm-hmm.
19. So
Okay.
it'll last forever and ever and ever.
He said that. You made me think of a Keith Sweat song. Oh gosh. So we'll finish up verses 22 to 27, I believe it is. And they read as follows. When he had finished talking with him, God went up from Abraham. Then Abraham took Ishmael, his son, and all those born in his house or bought with his money, every male among the men of Abraham's house, and he circumcised the flesh of their foreskin that very day, as God had said. Abraham, I want to call him Abram. Abraham was 99 years old when he was circumcised in the flesh of his foreskin, and Ishmael, his son, was 13 years old when he was circumcised in the flesh of his foreskin. That very day, Abraham and his son were circumcised. All the men of his house, those born in his house, and those bought with money from a foreigner, were circumcised with him. So,
Good.
Abraham did the do. So did everybody else. Doesn't say
Mhm.
anybody ran.
Good.
Just so good.
Yeah, because how long does it, how many visits from the Lord, conversations with the Lord does it take for just obedience? And again, I know we went through this with Joseph. I know that we're like it gives, oh, like if the Lord told me, or if the Lord, if this was me, I would do. I know, I hear how it sounds, but seriously, like if Abram, Abram, the Lord told him, showed him, told him again as Abraham. Same thing. Even told his wife, said his wife gave a blessing to his wife. Like, okay, now when the Lord tells you to do something, you would think that the Lord tell me to jump, I'm gonna jump. The Lord tell
Hmm.
me that tomorrow the sky is gonna turn purple. The sky is gonna turn purple. There's no more questions. There's no more none of that. I'm just going to trust that the Lord's plan is going to be fulfilled however it is going to be fulfilled. And if he tells me that these things need to be done, these things are going to happen. So it's, yes, very good, guys. But
Very good.
nobody tried to circumvent the process. Everybody, they did as as they were supposed to do. Good for them.
Yeah. Abraham. I mean, again, he's been good sometime, right? He left when he was
Sometimes.
supposed to. Yeah, he sort of fell in Egypt. He did something that was a little weird. But then he went and got Lot back, right? And gave a tithe and was blessed by Melchizedek. But yeah, he sort of was like, all right, when is this going to happen, Lord? And has been talking about it. Yeah, he, did what his wife told him to do. But hey, look, he's back on top. He's being obedient again. Right? This is it. He'll be obedient from here on out.
Mm-mm.
You can't tell from Will's laugh. That is not true. Oh man.
I think that
So
with age, I have learned that stuff is not as easy as you think it is.
yeah.
Because I used to be like Jasmine. I used to be like, it's not that hard, people. Life is not that hard. Just do what God says. I used to be like that. And then I got older and I was like, oh, maybe life is that hard. maybe life be life. And
Yep. Yeah.
I think a lot of the things that you end up going through as you age cause you to either see that yes, things can be that hard, and yes, it's very easy to stumble, or it lets you see that, like, because the community that I'm in, we have so many people who are Christian who are living different sorts of, like, they're walking, all their walks are different, right? So I have Chris, right? I have other pastors, I have other mentors and things, and they're older, but then the way that all of you guys are completely different. So when I'm looking at them, I'm like, you think this, you think you're this, you think you're that. But when you're looking at, like, from my point of view, looking at them, I'm like, I'm glad that they be feeling themselves a little bit, some of them. And I'm just like, but what about this? What about that? What about this? What about that? But I
Mhm.
also know that when I get to their age, my thought may change. Like, the way I think about it may change because they've lived more life than I've lived.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. I hope I'm not living hypocritically. That's my
No,
biggest
I
hope and
don't.
fear.
Let me think before I say that. Because I don't say I don't
Mhm.
think any of you guys are, but you could be. I don't know. I don't
No,
think so.
if I'm thinking of the same people you are, and I'm not going to call any names, I don't think any of them, including myself, are living hypocritically. And I'm sure
Yeah.
there's people outside of the folks that the folks that I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
Um,
And I don't think that even if they were, they are not doing it intentionally.
right,
Mhm.
right,
So
yeah.
I be trying to give people as much grace as possible, because one day when some 30-year-old is looking at me, I don't want them to be like, why
Now I
can't you
know how
put
you
stuff
really feel
together?
about me. Oh
Yeah.
man,
See,
this is
now,
funny.
don't get me wrong. As much as I'm like, I don't understand why y'all can't just do right. I also am like, I find myself, I say that and I think it, and then I find myself not doing right sometimes.
Mhm,
And I know what's right, which is
mhm,
what's worse about it. Cause then I'll feel like I'll be consciously thinking like, oh my God, like now, especially because I'm about to be a parent, the consequences of my actions feel a lot more deep rooted. I don't, not like consequences that are like, I don't know, silly. But when I think about, I watched this Christian couple and they talk about like real serious like things we see in the Bible kind of thing, like you have somebody today, you don't have them tomorrow. Why? Because the Lord said so. Kinds of things that happen in life. And
mhm.
I think really hard, like your choices and how you, whether you decide to be obedient to the Lord, can come with real, like serious, outcome, and it's like it's something you can do. The plan is written, and how it's going to be is how it's going to be. But I just think so deeply into why I should just do right, and of course, that sometimes I still do wrong, and we all do.
Yeah.
But it scares me, like it really scares me thinking of like, oof, I'm a just the Lord is. I can clearly feel the Lord pulling me this way, and I'm gonna do this instead. He
Mm,
could really be like, girl, all of that you think you got over here, gone. Now what?
yeah.
Now you got no choice
Now
but to
what?
go this way.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a lot.
No, I
I'll give
would
mean,
him a
say
little bit of slack though. We'll see.
yeah. Go ahead,
I
Maria. I
was
think you were going to say
say
something.
that kids kind of did the opposite for me, because you think that your choices, you don't have as much control as you think you do, and then you realize how much, like, you kind of see yourself how God sees you when you have kids, because kids do dumb stuff. Like, it's not
Hmm.
always intentional, and it's not always, like, sometimes you're just like, why? And that's how God be looking at us, like, why
What
would
are
you
y'all
do
doing?
that? And that's just, I just see myself like that now. I'm like, I'm sorry, like, I'm sorry, God. I didn't mean to do that. You know, I be tripping. It's
Right.
okay.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, we God is gracious, and that is very important.
Yes, indeedy.
Yeah.
Yes, indeedy. I mean, and to your point, he's so gracious that he made a way out of no way for us, right? I
Mhm.
Yeah.
like, again, I think this is going to be a theme, right? Because I'm in Mark and looking at Mark in another, setting. There's one part in Mark, it's either Mark 9 or Mark chapter 10, and it's the actual the rich young man. I don't think he's called a ruler in Mark, but there's this one part in there where it says um, that Jesus told this young man what he needed to do. Well, first he asked him, right? Have you done these things? Have you honored your father and mother? Right? Have you not committed adultery? You haven't lied. All of those horizontal things, right? How we treat and deal with each other, right? And the young man, he comes back. He says, "Yeah, I've kept all of these things since my youth." And then there's this one verse in there, and it says that the Lord looked at him and loved him. And when I saw that, I was like, so he looked at him. He didn't address whether this young man was telling the truth or not. He didn't, and of course he knows. He didn't say, you didn't honor your father and mother when you did X, Y, and Z. Because he put defrauded in there. You defrauded, this person, that person, and this person to get your riches, right? And I'm gonna take him at his word that he didn't do it, especially since the Lord Jesus didn't call him out on it. But I also know that no one is perfect.
Yeah.
But yet and still, Jesus looked at him, saw all of this young man was, whether he was lying or not, whether he kept all of the other commandments or not, and particularly the Decalogue and those four commandments that talk about his relationship with God. Have no other gods before me, make no graven images. Um, he looked at him, and then it says he loved him regardless. He loved him. You've seen me, all that I do, all that I am, how good I am, or how good I think I am, how I try to do the right things. But then you see me in all of my scars, all of the battles, all of my failings, all of my misgivings, on those days when I don't feel like being bothered and I'm short with people, all of the times when I've been selfish, but yet you love me in all of it. And I think that's all of us. Because while we are in a weird state and we're in this fallen state where the image of God has been marred on our lives, the Lord still looks at us and loves us to the point that his son, Jesus Christ, came to die on a cross so that we might be able to come back and be redeemed back unto the Father. such that in and through Christ we might be able to, as we talked about earlier, be upright before him, such that all of our sin stains can be washed away, that our sins would be removed from us as far as the east is from the west, because he looks at us and he loves us. So the way that he made for us and those who he loves, even though he sees exactly who we are, is through Christ and through his death on a cross for our sins, his burial and his resurrection. That's the way. That's how he loved us. He loved us so much that he sent his only son so that we might have life. So that's the invitation. He looked at us and he loved us like no one else could. That's the good news. That's the gospel. Regardless of what state I'm in, he looked at us, he loved us. So, our urging as usual is that you would believe. Our urging as usual is that you would believe in this gospel that I just talked about, that Jesus Christ died for your sins according to the scriptures, that he was buried, and that he was raised on the third day with the same power that we will all be raised with who are in him. If you believe, we celebrate with you. Uh, if you believe, then let us know. We'd love to celebrate with you. It's in the DM. And if you need, the next step is to be discipled. So if you need a church home and you can't find one on your own, please let us know. We'll do our best to help you out. All right. So with that said, anything else that we need to touch on from Genesis chapter 17? With that said, generational scriptures, Genesis chapter 17, in the bag, and we out of here. Deuces.
Bye.
There we go.